Welcome to the Melissa Cardinals Network. This is the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, broadcasting from the Dugout Sports Grill at the Z-Plex. Progress on the restaurant continues. We will invite you to join us in person on a Monday evening in just a few weeks, where you will get to watch us record this program in front of a live studio audience. This is Trey Graham, joined, of course, by Melissa Cardinals head football coach Matt Nally. That would be the Matt Nally and the Cardinals on now a 4-game winning streak.
That sounds pretty neat, doesn't it?
We were here a few weeks ago and 0-2 and the sky was falling.
Yes, sir.
4-2 feels pretty good.
Yes, sir. You know, you got to go back and you got to think about just where this team has been and where we've come from, and then how we got there, and just really how the team has grown, and not just that, but just how we've matured as a team. And like I've been saying it since week one, you know, I mean, we had to have an opportunity to get varsity ready. And like I said before, you know, I thought it was going to take until after the bye week to really get varsity prepared for our kids. And I knew that we were going to shine in the playoffs. But we kind of started, you know, midway through the Midlothian Heritage game, you know, really getting varsity ready. And, you know, I mean, it's kudos to the kids. I mean, the kids, everything that we've had success with this year, it's been because of the kids. And we have a great coaching staff who's done a great job, but the 4-game winning streak has been just because of the kids, you know, grit, and the kids, you know, wanting to play for each other. So that's been the biggest thing and the biggest compliment to those kids as well. But yes, sir, 4 games, you know, and especially this last game, it's a lot of fun.
We're going to talk about the last game in just a few minutes. It was a pretty big win. Cardinals are 4-2 overall, 2-0 in the district play. And I want you to talk about the mindset of the team, okay? The fans, again, the sky's falling, they're 0-2. You said, relax, everybody, it's going to be okay. I'm sure your coaches were saying that. What were the kids doing? Are they panicked? Is it just another day at the office? Where were they at 0-2?
Well, I think, you know, one thing that we do in our program is we don't put emphasis on pre-district games. And I've been a part of programs before where every game's super important. And if you have a super important game and then you lose, you have this letdown. And then everybody's kind of, you know, you start to question things and whatnot. And, you know, we just don't. Those 4 games, like I said, we call it Halloween because you get to dress up and go practice. And you get to people get to watch you practice. So, and besides that, kids are so resilient, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and the kids here are so great. We don't have an issue with, you know, kids doubting or whatever the case may be. And, you know, we were preaching it from day one. I mean, I've been preaching this for the last 3 years. It's, you know, and I'm from East Texas where, you know, you have the Gilmers and the Carthages of the world and whatnot. And you look at their schedules, and they'll win state, but they'll be 14-2. Or they'll be 13-3, and they're the state champion. No one remembers that you lost 3 games. Everyone remembers that you won the state championship. And it's about iron sharpening iron, and that's what we told our kids. I'm never going to put you in a situation that is a cupcake situation. I don't think that makes you a better player. I'm always going to put you in a situation where you have to compete, and you have to compete at a high level, because at the end of the day, you know as well as I do, Mr. Graham, to win a state championship, you got to play at a high level every week. So that's really what we emphasize going into it, and not just that, the kids bought into it, the coaches bought into it. Those first 2 games, not a big deal. You know, and we could be sitting in this situation right now and be 2-4 and being 2-0 in district, and that's all that really matters is district play. And we played a lot of kids in those first 4 ball games because you want to build depth. You want to give kids reps so they can understand the schemes and whatnot, and that's what those pre-district games are about. And a lot of people don't. You know, there's some programs that don't believe in that, and I didn't come up with that by myself. You know, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of a product of the Gilmer of the world. You know, I'd spent a lot of time at Gilmer when I was in East Texas, and you know, I stole that philosophy from them. You know, I mean, that doesn't matter. You know, what matters is district play, and what really matters is the playoffs. And we want to shine in the playoffs. So that was kind of our mentality going through. And it's worked out. And like I said, kids are so resilient. Our kids believed in it, and our coaches believed in it. And the hardest thing to do nowadays is, with social media and the internet, is to keep that stuff away. That's the hardest thing to do. Back in our day, it'd be the local paper, and you know what I'm saying? It's not
It was a big deal to be
right,
the local
right.
paper.
But it's kind of like whatever. But now it's just, it reaches hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people, and kids read that and get into that. And as a younger coach, I used to get into that. Now it's whatever. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But that's the hardest thing. But the kids, and they're resilient with that stuff as well, because we talk about those things. We talk about outside noise. We talk about, going in the schoolhouse and hearing things in the schoolhouse, seeing things on the internet and whatnot. We had a team meeting this morning talking about, okay, cool, you did something really special on Friday night, but you cannot listen to that outside noise, because that outside noise is going to make you feel bigger than what you really are. And right now, the goal is to continue to get better each week. We don't want to plateau. We don't want to peak right now. We want to continue to get better. And that's what we're going to preach, and we're always going to preach that. Not too high, not too low. We're going to be even kill. And like I said, it's really fortunate. We're really fortunate, but it's also refreshing when kids do buy in to what you're trying to sell. So that is probably the biggest thing, going from 0-2 to the 4-game winning streak. So,
talk about your senior leadership. Each week when we bring players on, if we have them on the show, I ask them about being a leader or looking up to other leaders. How do you make your juniors and seniors become those team leaders?
So, when we were kids, it was always like, the seniors were leaders, or the quarterback was the leader, or whatever the case may be. I think nowadays, scheme is scheme. So, like, I felt like when I was a kid, scheme was a big deal, because everyone when I was a kid was running the I, or whatever the case may be, wing T, slot
Pro
T.
right I.
Right.
Yep.
People were doing that, and now everyone's doing the exact same thing. So I feel big time that success comes from the culture that you're building. So I could have called Argyle's plays the other night just because of the fact of we run the same similar offense, but they run power, we run power. Everyone runs similar offenses, but I think it comes down to what you're trying to teach those kids. And what we do, we spend a ton of time on teaching character and how to be a good person and what it means to be a teammate, what it means to be a leader. So to answer your question, I expect my freshmen to be leaders. I expect my sophomores, juniors, all of them to be leaders.
But do the seniors follow a freshman leader?
Well, that's a great question. Probably not. Probably not. That those freshmen, and to be honest with you, those freshmen don't talk very much on the varsity. But I think through action, you can be a leader as well. Verbally, you're going to have your verbal leaders that are going to get you rolling. Like Nigel's a sophomore. He's a verbal leader. And you're going to listen when Nigel speaks, because he's huge. But like Caleb Otluski, Kel Breakbill is an unbelievable verbal leader, but he's an action leader as well. But he's an unbelievable leader. Whereas Sam is going to be that
would be Sam Finnegan, the quarterback.
He's a great leader, but he is not as direct and aggressive as, say, Kel is. I call Kel the alpha dog on the team, where Sam is more that positive, uplifting type of guy, where Kel is going to be the guy that's going to be, he's the old school, he's a linebacker.
He's a linebacker,
right.
Yeah. So,
but when it comes to leadership, I think everyone has a role in leadership. Whereas, like I said, probably people don't listen to a freshman, but people are going to watch freshman actions. And not just that, but, they're going to hold those kids accountable because they are freshmen. But that's the one thing that I really, believe in. And I think it's changed, just the culture we're in nowadays. Everyone's kind of
a little bit more even across the board.
Right.
Not so much a ranked structure.
Right. It's not like, when we were kids, it was, okay, you're the quarterback, so you're the leader. And you've got to lead the team. I say that Sam is the leader of the offense, but the funny thing about it is probably Seth Pintor, who plays guard, is probably the leader of the team. And that's just because of Seth's going to grow up to be whatever he wants to be. He'll be a senator or something. But it's different these days. And someone asked me this question about a month ago, and I said, you know what? I guess it's because, most teams don't huddle anymore. When you're in that huddle, you could.
It was my huddle.
Right, exactly right. And now you don't huddle anymore and things like that. So maybe that's the difference.
That's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, it's a totally different situation. Like I said, in what we ask everyone to have some sort of leadership role, and everyone can get better each day, and everyone can hold each other accountable each day.
You're watching the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, brought to you by the Dugout Sports Grill. This is the Melissa Cardinals Network. There was a big ball game last Friday. We're going to talk more about that in just a moment, but we're going to take a break and come back right after this. Welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network. You're watching the Cardinal Scoreboard Show broadcast from the Dugout Sports Grill at the Z-Plex. We are glad you're joining us. This is Trey Graham and Matt Nally, the Cardinals head football coach. Now, we talked about your team and your players a moment ago. I want to talk about the fans, the audience. I'm going to let you, first of all, thank, cheer on, appreciate, because where I was sitting, I had headphones on in a glass booth. I couldn't hear much. Some people related to me were sitting in the stands and told me that was the loudest experience they've had at a Melissa game. Talk about the fan experience last Friday.
The crazy thing is when you're in the game, you really can't hear anything except what's going on the sideline. So as the game started to unfold, you could start to really feel, not just hear, but feel the fans. So I would say probably in that fourth quarter, I noticed the fans. And I'm going to be honest with you, I never do. I never notice the fans. It's like we're in that stadium. It's just us and the other team. But, at the end of the day, it was almost like, do you remember we beat Gilmer in the playoffs? And it was almost like that experience. It wasn't just for myself or the program, but the entire community got the monkey off its back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
we're going to talk a few numbers in a minute. Yes.
So I mean, it was almost like an experience for everybody, and that was the most fun about it for me. Is I got to sit back and really reflect as it was. It went all to zero, and the student section came out and whatnot, and I just took a moment and just looked at everything, and just trying to soak it in. And it was a really awesome moment to see the fans, to see the stands. Even the game is over and the stands are full. It was really, really a neat thing, and it's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. That coaching experience and that picture that I took in my head when the game ended.
As you who watch the games or listen to the games know, we have audience members from all over the country and all over the world. And that's one of the cool things that I enjoy, is learning where the people are watching and where they're listening. We now have regular viewers, of course, from the state of Washington, the state of California, Ghana in Africa. We have New Zealand. We've got Lima, Peru. We've got states all over the country. Coach Barry Russell, who's Jason Russell's dad, is a frequent commenter, and he sounds like an old coach, so his comments sound like an old coach. But it's cool to see Cardinal fans literally all over the world.
And what we do, I literally, at 11 o'clock on Friday, I got in a car and I drove to Iowa to spend some time with my wife's family. And when you're driving and everyone's asleep, every Saturday I try to watch the game and then listen to the broadcast in my ears as I'm watching the game. And it's so neat that people care that much. And not just that, this happens every weekend, but I get texts from kids that I've coached, here in Melissa 5-7 years ago, and they're all over the place, and they'll text you and say congratulations and things like that. So it just speaks volumes about our community and how much they care about our kids, and not just the success, but just overall, our kids and our community. It's just a really neat thing.
So keeping the conversation about the fans, let's talk about parents. Mm-hmm. We're all adults. We know there's good days and bad days with coaches and parents, but you want to build a partnership. You're you're getting support, you appreciate the support, you want the involvement of parents. Talk about how you make that a successful relationship, not a argumentative or competitive.
Yeah, so what we did, and this is the first year that we did this, and I think it will be something I take always wherever I'm at, but I've heard other schools do this, and we're growing, so I thought it was essential for our program and what we do. So every year we're going to do a parent meeting, and I think that's kind of standard for everyone. But what we did was to make it, because sometimes coaches are depicted as like non-human. And so I wanted to make
Matt
sure...
Nally is human, I'll just let you know.
So I wanted to make sure that we, kind of humanized ourselves a little bit. So we did home visits. And this is something I will do from here on out.
Cool, never heard of
that. Every coach went to their position coach's player's home and had a home visit. And, I put together a booklet, and they would go through the booklet and whatnot, but it kind of... lines out like the program. It kind of lines out everything that you could possibly.
One at a time, or did you group it up?
One at a time. One at a time.
And so who did the head coach visit?
The head coach visited the quarterbacks.
As it should be, by the way.
Yeah. But besides that, it was just an opportunity for that parent to get to meet that coach, and a relationship get to be built.
And when was this? During the summer?
So we started in May.
All the way back?
Yeah, we went through May all the way up to fall camp.
And you had some new guys move in.
Correct.
So what'd you do? They were at the end of the line?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we made sure that every kid got a meeting. And, sometimes, in the summertime, people have vacations and whatnot. So that was difficult to get in. Like we had one kid that literally was the Sunday before fall camp because he was playing baseball and he was on vacation and things like that. So it was the last day we could pull it off was that day. So
how did the parents receive this?
Really well. For me personally, when I get a comment back that, I'm very appreciative because you took the time and you sacrificed the time to come and speak to us. And not just that, you get to have a real conversation with the kid in front of the parent. And most of the time...
So who are you talking to, the parents or the player?
So in the booklet, it goes both ways. Okay. So in the booklet, it'll go to the parents, and it'll talk about the parent's role, but probably 75% of it is to the player.
And they just get to listen.
And they get to listen, but at the end of
Younger siblings hanging around too?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important for that parent to hear that, we're speaking to their son, and we're not there to be malicious. We're not there to, bring their kid down or whatever the case may be. We're there to bring their kid up and to really make the best version of themselves. But at each level, like freshman level is about everyone's playing, and I make every kid play both sides of the ball. So that's going to happen. JV, every kid's going to play. Every kid's going to play both sides of the ball, period. Now the varsity, we start to split them. And then at the varsity level, it's about the best 11 playing at that time. So, we just lay it out, and then, hey, this is something that you're really good at, and this is something that you need to get better at. And if you want to be one of those best 11 at that time, this is something that you need to improve on. So I think people need to hear that, and I think people appreciate that. I know me as a coach, but also me as a parent. I appreciate when people have real conversations, and not just that, but they can look at my son in the face, and my son now knows, hey, I've got to work on X, Y, and Z to be a part of that. And you get a clearer picture of things rather than like when we played, if you had an issue with a coach, your mom or dad be like, get away, who cares,
Nobody came to my house.
Right, and just whatever. So, besides that, you're trying to build a relationship, but you're trying to make it professional. And that was the biggest deal for me is making professional relationships with people, because when you make them personal relationships, then the attitude can change, and we don't want that. A good professional relationship with a parent is a win.
Starts on the right foot.
Right, it's a win, and then we really, as coaches, for me personally, and I'm passionate about this, is, I probably spend more time with your son during the week than you do, and if someone had that much responsibility over my son, I would want them to help me raise my kid. And so that's what we try to do. We try to instill and talk about things that what we do in our program, but also, it's about helping you raise your son. And we want to put your son in a great positive environment. And not just that, but, have real conversations that they're going to have to deal with for the rest of their life. And I think that's something that is missing in today's world too, is that hard conversation, and kids having to understand that they don't always get their way and things don't always work out the way they should, or that they want them to, and their work does have to take place. So I think that's something that I'm really proud of. Like I said, it's something I'm really passionate about.
How did your coaches react to this assignment?
So when I first said, hey, this is what we're going to do, apprehension, going to someone's home, you don't really know what to expect. And but after we did the first couple ones, they were super excited to go back. I like to do the moms meeting, just the moms, right. And then I like to do the dads meeting, just the dads. And we didn't get to do the dads meeting this year because I had a family member pass away. But the moms thing, like, you go into it and you're kind of nervous because you're dealing with everyone's mom. The dads meeting is so easy because the dads just sit there and they're, kind of like, okay, whereas the moms, they want to know and they want to be involved.
Are you taking care of my baby?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
And, but, every coach on my staff that's ever went through that says, man, that's the best thing that we do throughout the season is, you get to build that relationship with the mom. And not just that, but, I'm a mama's boy, and, it's just, if you can reach that mother, and I feel like that you've probably won the family over. So, but we try to do it with the dad too, So, but they were apprehensive, but like I said, at half our couple into it, they were like, man, this is awesome. Just to have that opportunity was awesome.
Good. You are watching the Cardinals Scoreboard Show at the Dugout Sports Grill. You get some insights on this program you will not get anywhere else, and you just saw an example of that. I do thank you for being part of this broadcast. I want to invite you personally to worship in our church home, First Melissa, Sunday mornings in person. 2 great services, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. We have an online worship service every Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com to find out more. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to have Coach Nally tell you a story that I promise you will hear nowhere else. Welcome back to the Dugout Sports Grill. This is Trey Graham along with Matt Nally. You're watching this week's edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. So that's called a teaser in the media business, Coach. We said we're going to tell you a story that I promise you'll never hear anywhere else. And the reason is because I was the only one who got to hear the story. I was talking with you and Coach Todd Rogers. Oh, by the way, you played Argyle this Friday, didn't you?
Right.
We're going to talk about that game, I promise. We're going to get to that big win. But you and Coach Todd Rogers, I mentioned it during the broadcast, you call him a mentor.
Right.
And I said it on the game broadcast. He's a fine gentleman. He's a good guy. It was interesting. It was just the three of us because I kind of jumped in on a conversation you guys were having. And this was 2 hours or so before the kickoff this past Friday. But you said to Coach Rogers, you thanked him for teaching you something that I thought was pretty cool. And first of all, it shows a relationship between the two head coaches because everybody thinks you're screaming at each other all the time, which is not true. But talk about your relationship with Coach Rogers and then tell the story of what you were thanking him for teaching you.
Yeah, so I met Coach Rogers 20 years ago. I was a student teacher at Argyle, and he hired me to run his strength and conditioning program. And so I ran it, and then when I got done with that, I just got done with college. And I had a job in East Texas, and I really wanted to work at Argyle. So I begged and pleaded. Did he offer you a job? No. Okay. So I begged and pleaded and whatnot, and Coach Rogers said...
That was going to be his first year,
That was going to be his first year.
Okay.
And he got hired late. And he said, man, I just don't have a job or a job opening. So that was no big deal. So I moved on to East Texas, to Cayuga, Texas, and I just kept up with him and whatnot. And then throughout the years, the one thing, no one ever taught me this, but when I go to and I speak at coaches clinics or whatever the case may be, the first thing I say is you got to find a mentor, because first off, when you're directing through any profession, you need some guidance.
Sure.
And so when I was really young, I ended up getting a mentor who, I'll be honest with you, I mean, he helped me with the game plan against Paris. He helped me with the game plan against Argyle. And he's doesn't coach anymore. And then Coach Rogers has been influential for me just because of when I first became a head coach. He was the first guy I contacted. You know, we had been in contact a little bit throughout the years. He's the first guy I contacted. He's the first place I went to. And, you know, he helped me tremendously through that growing process. When I got here, I couldn't figure out how to beat Salina. And I thought I was hot stuff. You know, I got to be the OC, and the year before they were 1-9, and I'm the OC.
That means offensive coordinator.
And I'm thinking I'm hot stuff, and we play Salina, and Salina just gives it to us. So I'm like, golly. So I go to Argyle, and he gives me kind of this formula.
After the season?
After the season. He gives me this formula, which Shay Nanny, who was the OC at the time, who's there now just as a math teacher, they kind of sit me down and give me the formula on how to beat Salina. So we beat them the next 4 years in a row. And so I'm there, and I always pay homage to Gilmer. I'm always going to go back to Gilmer every year. It's still kind of the same staff there, but I'm always going to go to Argyle as well. And you wouldn't think they would allow a district foe to come in and whatnot, but, you know, all coaches are the same. You know, coaches are egotistical maniacs, but at the end of the day, it is a fraternity, and we're going to take care of each other because we understand all of the issues that a coach has to deal with. I mean, we're dealing with, you know, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids they're dealing with their own emotions and their own lives, and we're putting them on display every Friday night, and, you know, they've got to make the right decisions at the right time, and that could potentially keep your job or lose your job. So
you're professionally dependent on teenagers.
Right. Right. Exactly right. So
you don't want that job, by the way. Just
so I went to him, and he has just taught me so much. So going back to it, I talk to him every year, and he was telling me about, hey, you know, you need to really think about practicing in the morning. It's something that we did, and
before the school starts.
Before school started, and I was like,
the school day, not the school here.
The school
before
day,
the school
yes.
day, right?
You need to really think about that, just because of recovery, and you can do so much more and get so much more in. And I was just like, man, I guess I was just so old school in the regards, I'm not doing that. And I was really worried that kids weren't going to show up and things like that. So,
what time are we talking about?
Well, the kids show up at 7.
Okay.
And we were doing fall camp with our freshmen at 5 in the morning. So 5:30 in the morning. So.
But they love that.
Yeah, they loved it. Coaches loved it, man. Coaches were the greatest ones about it. But so I thought maybe we can pull this off, but I was still worried. You know, just you're dealing with kids again, you know, and so we come in and we practice on Monday and Tuesday. We practice from 7:30 to 8:30, and then I bring them back after school for just a quick hour, and then you're gone. And I do the same thing on Tuesday and Wednesday. We just practice in the morning. Thursday we just practice in the morning, and it's something that. I don't know if this is because I'm getting older or whatever the case may be, but as a coach, I feel more refreshed. And I'm asking my players, and they're like, I feel, you know, like I can, I have more energy. It was weird. I was driving Nigel to this a few weeks ago, and he brought it up. You know, I didn't bring it up. He brought it up. It's like, I just feel I have more energy for the game. So, and he did that. He started it last year. And
Coach Rogers
did it. Started it last year, right. And you know, it was just like my kids just because I'm always about I want to practice them in the heat because you play in the heat,
right.
You know. And he would be like, "Man, you're just going to drain them. You're just going to drain their energy." And I'm like, you got to be tough. And you know, I mean, there's different ways to do things, but I think there's science behind it. And we do some different things practice-wise. Like a lot of people don't do like. on Wednesday, we call it No Sweat Wednesday, and that is you go out to do special teams, little team, and then you're done. And then Thursday is another heavy day, which when we were in school, that didn't fly,
that way,
right? And scientifically they say, you should be heavy before game day. So cool, man, we're going to do that. But if you look at the science now, it's talking about you should practice in the morning. Because of hormone levels are higher, and recovery time is more, and allows your kids to, get more healthy and more energy as we start the game. So it has really been, we've been really fortunate enough to do it, and to be honest with you, it'd be really fortunate enough that our kids have really bought into it, because I was nervous about it.
Your plan going forward next year and following?
Probably what I'm going to do next year is I'm probably going to start it even earlier. I'm probably going to end up starting practice around 6:30, and then go for 2 hours and then bring it back.
But your coaches' wives like this.
Right.
They get to come
exactly
home and light out.
I mean, in the past, so you get 8 hours of practice. The UIL allows you to get 8
per week. UIL rules
per week. So I was big on, guys, we're 7 hours.
7.9. Yeah.
I mean, we're going the whole time, and now, I mean, and I go back to Coach Briles, but Coach Briles would tell me, like, practice is overrated, which I don't believe that. But he said practice is overrated. Like, people do things now.
That's Art Briles, the former Stephenville and Baylor coach, Houston coach, that guy.
He just believed that, it really changed my mindset in the regards of practice, because a lot of people go in there. I'm at guilt for this, but you go in there and you're like, okay, well, we're going to do Indy for 15 minutes, group for 15 minutes, a whole period, and team. Everyone does the same thing.
Right.
And he was kind of like, you don't need to do that. Just do group, team, and then be done. And you're like, I don't know about that, coach, but that's what we've done the last couple of years, and, I can't, deny results from it. There's a lot of people that do it. Argyle does it. And whatnot, but we do some different things in other schools. Like, I'm still old school in the regards of I think you need to do good on good and things like that. And
that means you're starting offensive players against your starting defensive players.
Right.
I'm translating for you.
Right.
Go ahead.
I still believe in those things, and a lot of people don't believe in those things. A lot of people believe, like, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm going to go against my JV and whatnot, where I let my JV scout team, talking about scout team again, they do go against my varsity kids, but it's those kids that are bubble kids that I could see, okay, that kid's probably going to be a varsity kid next year, or that kid could potentially be a varsity kid this year. I want to make sure he's getting varsity reps during that time, but we still do that, and I'm never going to change from that. I just think that's the way football should be played. I still do a period. I've gotten away from it a little bit in the regard. I used to do it 3 days a week. Now I'm down to 1 day a week, and we tackle to the ground. It's everybody's, free to get tackled, and that is a huge no-no. But I did it when I was a kid, and I want to be physical and
for fear of getting injured during practice week and not being ready for the game.
Right, and so I just feel like we do things practice-wise that are smart, or is smart, and I think that, and once again, Coach Rogers, having that conversation with him, I didn't think that we could pull it off, and we have pulled it off, and it's like I said, I would love for my kids to talk about it, just because you can see the difference. And the reason I'm going to pull it back and do it from 6:30 to 8:30 next year is you can see the difference from that 7 o'clock practice that we have now, and then when I bring it back after school. Because you can tell when you walk out there and it's 80 degrees, and then you walk out there and it's 100 degrees, the lack of just energy is down compared to at 7, it's high. And not just that, but just it feels good to start something, and you accomplish something to start your day. Well,
I wanted you to tell the story of Coach Rogers giving you that insight about the morning practices, but I also wanted the audience to know you guys were just hanging out. You're sitting on a fence, just hanging out 2 hours before the game. I came up to talk with both of you, and again, just was able to join in the conversation, but it was just two guys chatting.
You would be shocked at what coaches talk about. And most of the time, I would say 50% of the time it is about football. But 50% of the time, it might be about your wife, or it might be about, your own personal kids, or, just whatever, fishing, whatever the case may be, just because.
Army football?
Sometimes.
Okay, probably not enough.
But certain things that come up, and, once again, it's a fraternity. And there's certain coaching staffs that, you probably aren't as close with. Really just one. But there's some coaching staff.
And the one school not to be named on the broadcast.
But for the most part, everyone is so supportive of each other, and you want the other one to have success, just not that night.
Right.
Right. But everyone just loves everybody and whatnot. And like I said, to me, it's a fraternity, and it's the best fraternity to be a part of, because everyone's going through the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's Argyle, Texas, or Bonham, Texas. You're still dealing with the same things, and people don't think that Argyle is dealing with things that Melissa's dealing with, or Melissa is dealing with, and then Bonham, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, they are. Everyone deals with the exact same thing, and injury, depth, coaching issues, player issues, parent issues. Everyone's dealing with the same thing, and it's almost like when you get together, it's a therapy session. And you get to discuss those things, but the great thing about it is when you get to make friendships.
Because they're going through the same stuff you are.
Right. And Coach Rogers, I consider him a mentor, but I also consider him a friend. And it was tough, when we beat Gilmer in the playoffs. It was tough to walk across the field and shake those guys' hands because they were so important to me. And it was tough Friday night to walk across the field and shake his hand, and he congratulated me and whatnot, but it was tough just because you have so much respect for him and what he's done for me personally, and not just that, but he's helped me in my program. So, but yeah, he's a really good guy.
You're watching the Cardinal Scoreboard show from the Dugout Sports Grill at the Z-Plex. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and actually talk about the game this past Friday. And later on in this show, you're going to learn something that has never happened before on the Melissa Cardinals Network. Welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network. This is Trey Graham, and I am joined by the head football coach of the Melissa Cardinals, Matt Nally. The 4-2 Cardinals had a game this past Friday. You might have heard about it. The final score, Melissa 21 and Argyle 0. And I've got a lot of stats and numbers, probably more than everybody cares about, but let's go with this number. 31 rushing attempts for the Argyle Eagles, 31 rushes for 41 total yards.
That's pretty legit. That's pretty good. But
when you can hold a state-ranked team to 1.3 yards per carry?
It's a testament to the game plan that Coach Hemsley and that defensive staff put in, and it's a testament to those kids executing that game plan. But we did things this year differently with Argyle than we've ever done before. Usually in the past, I harp on Argyle, that usually they're the number one team in the state and all this stuff, and I would just harp on that all week long. How are you going to perform against the number one team in the state, and yada yada yada. And this week we didn't do that. It was all about us. We were going to concentrate on us. And then the one thing I did do that I've never done before was I wanted our kids to see their kids before the game. And when their kids were walking the field, I made our kids go out there and just look at them. And they're not superheroes. They're regular kids just like you, and I think that helped a little bit. But once again, going back to that stat, that's unbelievable. I mean, it just is testament about how the box played all night long, and Coach Hemsley and his staff prepared those kids.
Got some numbers for you. 61, 60, 20, 5, 15, 1, 8, 4, and 5. Argyle went into your game last Friday with a 61-game winning streak in district play, a 60-game winning streak in the regular season, 20 overall wins, 5 wins over Melissa, the only 5 times you'd played, 15 years since Argyle was shut out, 2006, and then the last numbers, 1, 8, 4, and 5. What does that mean? Going into last Monday's broadcast of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, Argyle was ranked 1 in the state, Class 4A Division I football. Melissa was ranked number 8. So that's 1 and 8. For tonight's broadcast of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, the numbers are 4 and 5. Melissa is ranked number 4 in the state of Texas. Argyle ranked number 5 in the state of Texas. And I know you don't care about state rankings because you're a coach and you have to say that. I understand that. But let's just focus on 61, 60, 20, and 5 and 15 years since being shut out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a testament to their program. I mean, that's unbelievable. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know a lot of that stuff going in. I knew they won a lot of football games. I did not know about the 61 or the 60, the 20. I did know about the 5 wins because we had talked about it last week.
Right.
I did not know about the 15. I had no idea about any of that stuff. So when you really soak that in and you really think about it, my goodness gracious, they have just dominated. I mean, the last 15 years, it sounds like.
12 years in a row of winning at least 11 games.
See, that's insane. That's insane. I mean, that's a testament to their program, what Coach Rogers has done over there. Yeah, I mean, it's almost, makes you speechless as a coach looking at that and how you could potentially get to that point. That took a lot of hard work to get to that point. Those kids and those coaches. So that is, like I said, mad respect for that program, mad respect for Coach Rogers. That is insane. That is truly insane.
And yet, 21-0 Melissa.
Right.
And I told the audience a moment ago, we are going to bring them something tonight that has never happened in the history of the Melissa Cardinals Network. This is my 14th year announcing Melissa Cardinals football. 11th year with Coach Kenny Deal, and Coach Deal, he just gives everything away. So he's responsible for choosing the offensive and defensive players of the week every week. This week, he decided to have 11 players of the week. The entire starting defense was named the players of the week, and when you talk about 31 rushes for 41 yards,
right.
Maybe he was right to do so.
Right.
So we've been bragging about Argyle a lot, and they deserve it. But now we get to brag about the Melissa Cardinals. So Nate Hemsley, the defensive coordinator, runs a 3-4 defensive alignment. Sophomore D-end Nigel Smith, jersey number 2. Senior nose guard Justin Mays, number 63. Senior D-end Dylan Smith, number 99. Junior Sam, that means strong side linebacker, Caleb Otluski, number 18. Junior Mike, or middle linebacker, Jason Cave, been here with us on the broadcast, number 33. Junior Will, or weak side linebacker, Dalton Whitwer, number 40. Senior Bandit, or all-around bad dude, is senior linebacker Cale Breakbill, number 25. 4 DB, senior corner Ryan Johnson, number 6. Junior Rover, or safety, Josh Nicholas, number 23. Senior free safety with the family watching from Ghana, Africa, DB Paris Adger, number 10, and the freshman cornerback, Trey Williams, number 15. So, brag on those 11 for a minute.
What makes them a fun group is when you go through it, Justin Mays and Dylan Smith and Cale all had varsity experience going into the season, where the rest of those kids were either on the JV or in a backup role on the varsity. So it makes you just super proud of those kids and where they've come from where they've been at. When you go and we played Salina, and I thought the defense played well against Salina. I really did, and I knew we were going to be really good on defense. But then we go to Frisco Memorial, and we kind of get exposed in the regards of our inexperience and youth in the secondary and whatnot, and then just coming back and playing an unbelievable Carter and Midlothian Heritage team, and just watching the growth, watching them grow up, has been so much fun to be a part of. And the thing is once again, I think that every aspect of the game, you're going to take on the shadow of your leader, and Coach Hemsley is that typical old school defensive coordinator who's going to be nasty and and going to be that, and expect the best, but expect you to be physical. And one of the things that Coach Hemsley likes to say is, when you get there, you better snatch a bone out of somebody. So I think they've taken on the personality of their leader, which is Coach Hemsley, and the rest of that defensive staff. And they're a really fun group to be around. But my years in Melissa, and I've seen a lot of great defenses since I've been here in Melissa, this might be the most physical team I have, or I've been around. Maybe not the most talented, but the most physical, aggressive defense I've ever been around.
As I said, we've never given away 11 Players of the Week before, but it was well-deserved this past week.
Correct.
And I said this on the broadcast, it's not the biggest win in school history. It's a huge win. It's not the biggest win in school history because nothing's bigger than a state championship.
Right.
Is it the biggest win as your head coaching experience?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I was thinking about this as me and my wife went to Iowa over the weekend. As we were driving, I was thinking about all the experiences that I've had as a coach, and then I thought all my experiences I've had here at Melissa, and all the experience I've had as the head coach at Melissa. And I thought, man, I don't know if anything can beat that Gilmer win. And then I thought, man, I don't know if there's anything that can beat the first time we beat Salina when I was the OC, and then nothing could really touch the first time that we beat Salina when I was the head coach. And this win was so special, like it did not hit me till about 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. That this was, wow, like this actually transpired, and I was a part of it. No doubt. It was the biggest win in my head coaching career, and I hope that it's not. There's more yet to come.
Could be against the Argyle Eagles.
Correct.
So we're almost finished with the broadcast. We've got to ask the question. Biggest win, as you said, maybe the biggest regular season win, we would call it that in Melissa's history. How do you not have a letdown? So
I'm a little bit different in the regards of, of a bye week, and not even if it was a bye week, if it was a regular week. But, when I addressed my team this morning, I give the kids, a 5-second congratulatory speech, and then it's on Anna. We're discussing Anna. Everything this week is about Anna. So a lot of people going into their bye week will say, well, we're going to rest and recover, and we're going to do those things. But our practice schedule, we got it done this afternoon as a coaching staff, and that hour and 10 minutes that we're going to practice this week, 45 minutes of that's going to be about prepping for Anna. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will say, hey, we're going to get better at our double teams, or we're going to get better at this or that, and I'm not going to do that. It is about Anna, Texas. It's about beating Anna for the next 2 weeks, period, the end. And I think that helps that the kids understand that, and like I told them on Friday night after the game, Argyle's still in the way. But so is Anna, so is Ranchview, so is Terrell, and so is Kaufman, and so is your first, second, and third round opponent. But they're still in the way. So I firmly believe that, that Lou Holtz quote, if you think you did something special today, then you really haven't achieved anything. So, I just firmly believe that the kids understand that, and I overemphasize it with my coaches. This afternoon we had our coaches meeting. We're going to talk about Anna. Argyle's over. Argyle's done. We're going to talk about Anna, and we need to make sure that if the kids bring it up, that's awesome, man. But the goal is Anna. The goal is not Argyle. The goal is Anna. And Anna's playing good football right now, so we got to make sure that our focus is on the Coyotes.
The Cardinals have a bye week this Friday, so enjoy your night off, and we'll be back next Monday, and we'll talk about the Anna Coyotes, the team the Cardinals will play next. They are 5-1 on the year, so the Purple people are having a good season. It is a great week. It's a great, enjoyable time to be a Melissa Cardinal football fan. The biggest regular season win, I think, in school history. If you are not following the Melissa Cardinals Network on Facebook, go to Melissa Cardinals Network and find us there. It'll keep you updated with all the information. You need to subscribe to the Melissa ISD page on YouTube so you'll know about all of our broadcasts. We thank you for being a part of this broadcast. This is Matt Nally, the head football coach. My name is Trey Graham, and as we end our edition of the Cardinals Scoreboard show, we're going to show you an excerpt from the end of last Friday's broadcast. Thanks for spending this time with us.
Cardinals defeating the number 4 team in the state, the number 9 team in the state, and now knocking off the number 1 team in the state after starting the season 0-2.
Your Cardinals are 4-2 on the year, 2-0 in the district. Driver's seat for a district championship. The Argyle Eagles fall to 4-1 on the season, 4-1 overall, 0-1 in district. The 20-game overall winning streak is over. The 60-game regular season streak is over. So, Coach, how about this?
Angie Dundee, our Lee's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8-count, and Foreman is as poised as can be in a neutral corner.
Down goes Frazier. Howard Cosell. Down go the Argyle Eagles. And the Cardinals are victorious.
So what you're saying there is the champions just went down.
The champ just got knocked down, and knocked down by your Melissa Cardinals. A great victory.